Centuries ago, an order of warrior monks vanished overnight, taking their secrets with them. The Knights Templar rose from humble protectors to become the most powerful and wealthy organization in the medieval world, only to be destroyed in a single shocking day. Their mysterious downfall ignited legends of lost treasures and forbidden knowledge that have captivated historians and treasure hunters for 700 years. By the end of this exploration, you will know the hidden truths behind their sudden end and the enduring mysteries of their missing fortune, what truly happened to the vast wealth they accumulated, and what dangerous knowledge did they possess that made them a target. Their story is a puzzle of power, faith, and shadow, a secret history waiting to be unlocked. What does it mean when the world's most powerful bankers simply disappear? Their story begins not with gold, but with a desperate need for protection. In the year 1119, 2 decades after Christian armies captured Jerusalem, the roads to the Holy City were perilous. Bandits and mercenaries preyed upon vulnerable pilgrims who had traveled thousands of miles only to face danger on the final leg of their journey. It was into this chaos that a French knight named Hugues de Payens and 8 of his companions stepped forward. They took a sacred vow, forming a new brotherhood they called the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and the Temple of Solomon. Their mission was profoundly simple: to guard the pilgrims on their sacred journeys. They were given a headquarters on the very site of the ancient Temple of Solomon, a place steeped in legend, and from this they derived their famous name, the Knights Templar. Initially, these 9 men lived in true poverty, their humble existence reflected in their official seal, which showed 2 knights sharing a single horse, a powerful symbol of their early brotherhood and lack of wealth. But their dedication resonated deeply with the most powerful figure in Europe, the Pope. In 1129, the Church granted the Templars an unprecedented privilege. They were declared answerable to no king, no bishop, no earthly authority except the Pope himself. This single decree transformed them from a small band of protectors into an international powerhouse. They became the first true warrior monks, a seemingly contradictory fusion of the chapel and the battlefield. They were devout men who took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, yet they were also the most disciplined and feared soldiers of their age. This unique status was the key to their meteoric rise. As they established a network of fortresses across the Holy Land in Europe, they invented a revolutionary system to move wealth safely. A pilgrim could deposit funds at a Templar house in London and, using a complex system of encrypted letters of credit, withdraw the same amount in Jerusalem. This was the birth of international banking, and it made them indispensable to kings and commoners alike. Donations of land, money, and sons from noble families flooded in. Within a few decades, the poor fellow soldiers were poor no longer. They managed vast estates, built a mighty fleet of ships, and became the treasurers for entire kingdoms, amassing an influence and a fortune that rivaled that of any crown in Christendom. How could such a powerful and sacred institution, seemingly untouchable, fall so completely from grace? Their revolutionary system for moving money was as ingenious as it was simple. Imagine a European merchant planning a journey to the Holy Land. Carrying a chest of gold coins was an invitation to be robbed. Instead, he could deposit his entire fortune at the local Templar commandery, a fortified preceptory that served as both monastery and bank. In return, he received a small, encrypted piece of parchment, a letter of credit. This document was worthless to any thief, but at his destination, he could present it to another Templar house and receive the full value of his deposit in local currency. The Templars charged a small fee for this service, a fee that built their wealth coin by coin. They had effectively invented a secure, international wire service 700 years before the modern world would catch up. This financial network made them indispensable. Kings and popes soon entrusted the Templars not just with personal wealth, but with entire national treasuries. They became the primary bankers for the Crown of France, managing the royal accounts and even holding the keys to the royal treasury in Paris. They provided massive loans to fund wars and crusades, making them creditors to the most powerful men in Europe. Their financial power was not built on gold alone, but on absolute trust. A Templar's vow was his bond, and their reputation for incorruptibility was the bedrock of their entire economic empire. Their wealth flowed from many sources. Beyond banking fees and loans, they received enormous donations of land and money from pious nobles and merchants seeking spiritual favor. They owned vast estates across Europe, thousands of farms, vineyards, and mills, all worked by tenant farmers and managed by their own brothers. They produced and traded everything from wool and wine to olive oil, operating their own fleet of ships to transport goods across the Mediterranean. They were not just warrior monks or bankers. They were one of the first truly multinational corporations, a sprawling, self-sustaining economic engine whose influence stretched from London to Jerusalem. This immense financial power, however, cast a long and dangerous shadow. When you are the keeper of the king's debts, you also become the keeper of his secrets. How long could such an independent power, answerable only to a distant pope, exist before it threatened the very thrones it financed? The answer would come in a sudden and violent storm of betrayal. That immense financial power required a physical stronghold, a network of stone and mortar to match their network of trust and coin. Across Europe and the Holy Land, the Templars constructed a breathtaking architectural empire. Their buildings were not merely functional, they were profound statements of their unique identity and power. The most iconic of these were their round churches, designed to mirror the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. The Temple Church in London, consecrated in 1185, stands as a perfect example, a circular sanctuary meant to evoke the very heart of the crusading ideal. For the Templar, these were not just places of worship, they were symbolic maps of a spiritual journey and perhaps something more. The unique acoustics of a round design created unusual sound properties, where a whisper on one side could be heard clearly on the other. Was this a deliberate feature for secret communication, or simply a byproduct of sacred geometry? The design itself fuels speculation, suggesting that every architectural choice held a deeper, hidden meaning. Beyond their famous churches, the Templars built hundreds of preceptories, which were far more than monasteries. These were fortified complexes, combining a chapel, living quarters, administrative offices, and most importantly, a treasury. These preceptories were the nerve centers of their financial empire, and it is within their thick, cold stone walls that the greatest mysteries lie. Many were built upon existing ancient sites, often with rumored underground networks. The Paris Temple, their European headquarters, was said to contain a massive multi-level vault deep beneath the main tower, secured with complex locks and guarded day and night. It was here that the French crown jewels and the royal treasury were stored, a testament to the absolute trust placed in the order. But what else did those vaults hold? Persistent legends speak of secret chambers accessed only through hidden doorways or by moving a specific stone in a specific sequence. Underground tunnels were rumored to connect their properties, allowing for the discreet movement of both people and priceless artifacts away from prying eyes. At locations like Tomer in Portugal or the Preceptory at Pains in France, archaeologists and enthusiasts have used ground-penetrating radar to search for anomalous voids beneath the foundations, spaces that do not appear on any historical blueprint. Could these be the sealed repositories for their legendary treasure, not just gold and silver, but something far more valuable, like ancient manuscripts or sacred relics they discovered beneath Temple Mount? The Templars were master builders and even more masterful secret keepers. Their architectural genius provided the perfect hiding place, not in some remote, forgotten land, but in plain sight, concealed within the very stones of their formidable fortresses. If their greatest treasure was knowledge, then what better vault than a labyrinth of stone, silent and enduring, waiting for the right key to turn, the silence of their stone vaults was shattered at dawn. On Friday, October the 13th, 1307, the trap sprung with brutal efficiency. In a perfectly coordinated strike, King Philip IV of France ordered his officers to simultaneously arrest every Templar they could find across his kingdom. Hundreds of knights, from the highest-ranking masters to simple sergeants-at-arms, were dragged from their beds and thrown into damp, dark cells. The charges read against them were designed to provoke horror and justify the king's actions. They were accused of heresy, of spitting on the cross during their initiation rites, of denying Christ, and of engaging in obscene acts of idol worship. The most shocking accusation claimed they worshipped a mysterious head, a bearded idol known as baphomet, which was said to grant them unnatural power and wealth. These charges of blasphemy were not just about faith, they were a calculated weapon. By painting the Templars as secret Satanists who had betrayed God, King Philip could frame his actions as a holy crusade, a necessary purge to save Christendom from a corrupt and dangerous cult. The public, already uneasy with the order's immense power and secretive rituals, was primed to believe the worst. The king's real motive, however, was far more earthly. He was deeply in debt to the Templars, having borrowed vast sums to fund his wars and his lavish court. Seizing their assets offered a clean solution to his financial ruin. The Templars' own financial network, their meticulous records of royal debts, made them a living, breathing reminder of the crown's insolvency. By destroying the bankers, the king could effectively erase the ledger. The arrests were not an investigation. They were a premeditated asset grab disguised as a religious inquisition. How could a king move against an order that reported directly to the Pope? Philip had carefully prepared his ground, spreading rumors and securing the cooperation of a weak and pliable Pope, Clement V, who was largely under French influence. The perfect timing of the arrests of Friday the 13th would forever stain that date with a legacy of betrayal and superstition. In a single morning, the world's most trusted financial institution was declared an enemy of the state, its brothers redefined from pious protectors to heretical criminals. But what secrets would these men reveal under torture, and what had they managed to hide before the king's men arrived at their gates? While King Philip's men were shackling Templars in their cells, a different drama was unfolding hundreds of miles away on the Atlantic coast. The Order's great naval fleet, stationed at their fortified port of La Rochelle, simply vanished into the autumn mist. On the very eve of the mass arrests, every seaworthy ship under their command slipped its moorings and disappeared without a trace. Official records fall silent, offering no explanation for the sudden evacuation of one of the most powerful naval forces in Europe. The question has haunted historians ever since. Where did that fleet go, and what was it carrying? The most compelling theory suggests the ships were loaded with the Templars' most vital assets, their legendary treasure and archives, spirited away to safety in a meticulously planned escape. One persistent legend points north to Scotland. In the weeks following the arrest, stories emerged of strange, well-armed ships appearing off the Scottish coast, welcomed by the excommunicated King Robert the Bruce. This king, himself at odds with the Pope, would have had every reason to offer sanctuary to the persecuted knights. Some believe these Templar refugees, their knowledge of architecture and warfare intact, went on to fight alongside Bruce at the pivotal Battle of Bannockburn, a battle where his outnumbered forces secured Scottish independence against all odds. Could their tactical expertise have been the decisive factor on that field? Another trail leads to Portugal, where the order was simply rebranded. King Denis of Portugal, recognizing their value, refused to persecute them. Instead, he negotiated with the Pope to transform the Templars into a new entity, the Order of Christ. This new order, with its familiar membership and symbols, became the driving force behind Portugal's Age of Discovery. Prince Henry the Navigator, a Grand Master of the Order of Christ, used their vast maritime knowledge and wealth to fund voyages that would map the African coast and beyond. The iconic sails of Portuguese caravels were emblazoned with the same red cross the Templars had worn for centuries, a silent testament to their enduring legacy. The most audacious theory, however, pushes their voyage across the Atlantic. Did the Templar fleet, possessing charts and knowledge lost to mainstream Europe for another 2 centuries, sail to the Americas long before Columbus? Supporters of this idea point to carvings in Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland and the Newport Tower in Rhode Island, structures whose architectural features seem to echo Templar design. While mainstream historians remain skeptical, the legend persists, suggesting a hidden chapter of exploration written by knights fleeing extinction. The disappearance of the fleet was not an end, but a transformation. It suggests that the heart of the Templar mystery was not buried in a single vault, but set sail, its secrets carried on the waves to new lands and new futures, waiting to be rediscovered. But deep within the Vatican's secret archives, a single document lay hidden for centuries, a parchment that would rewrite the official story. Discovered only in 2001, the chinon parchment reveals a stunning truth. It contains the full transcript of an investigation led by 3 cardinals sent by Pope Clement V himself. Over several days in 1308, they privately interrogated the highest leaders of the Templar order, including the Grand Master Jacques de Molay. The cardinals' conclusion was absolute. They absolved the Templars of the charge of heresy, granting them full papal forgiveness and restoring them to the sacraments of the Church. The Pope himself had officially cleared them, so why did their destruction proceed? The answer lies not in faith, but in a web of political blackmail and raw fear. King Philip IV of France held a powerful weapon over the Pope. Before his election, Clement V, then the Archbishop of Bordeaux, had allegedly made a secret agreement with the French king, a promise of support in exchange for the papal throne. Even more damning, a persistent rumor claimed that Philip possessed documents proving a former pope, Boniface VIII, was a heretic, and that Clement himself had knowledge of this. The king could, at any moment, unleash a scandal that would shatter the Church's credibility. Faced with this existential threat, the Pope was trapped. His private absolution of the Templars, recorded on the chinon parchment, was his conscience speaking. His public actions, however, were those of a man under duress. He eventually issued a papal bull, Vox in Excelso, which suppressed the Templar order not for proven crimes, but for the damage its scandalized reputation had caused to the Church. It was a political execution disguised as a spiritual necessity. The chinon parchment is the silent witness to this betrayal, proof that the Templars were not heretical monsters, but pawns in a much larger game of power. It reveals a pope who knew the truth but was too weak to act on it, and a king so desperate for money and control that he would destroy the most trusted institution of his age. If the leaders were forgiven in secret, then what other truths about their treasure and their knowledge were buried alongside their good name? The chinon parchment absolved the order, but it could not erase the legends that had already taken root, legends pointing to a discovery far more profound than gold. The most enduring of these is the quest for the Holy Grail. What if the Templars did not just find wealth beneath the ruins of Solomon's temple, but the ultimate Christian relic itself? For 9 years they excavated the sacred site, an operation of immense scale and secrecy. Medieval chronicler William of Tyre noted they occupied the temple, but he recorded nothing of what they unearthed. It is this profound silence that fuels the speculation. The Grail, in its earliest forms, was not a simple cup, but a vessel of immense power, a source of divine wisdom and eternal life. The legend suggests the Templars found this sacred object, or perhaps something that represented its true essence, and dedicated their entire order to its protection. This was not a treasure to be displayed, but a truth to be guarded, a secret that formed the spiritual core of their brotherhood. Their sudden wealth and influence could be seen not as an end, but as a means to a far greater hidden purpose. This Grail myth intertwines with another provocative idea, the Templars' alleged reverence for the sacred feminine. Some interpretations suggest the Grail was not merely a chalice, but a symbol for the lineage of Mary Magdalene, a bloodline of Christ that the order was sworn to protect. This would align with the charges of heresy leveled against them, specifically the accusation that they worshipped a mysterious head, a bearded idol called Baphomet. What if Baphomet was a misrepresentation, a twisted version of a sacred feminine figure, perhaps even a reliquary containing the skull of Mary Magdalene herself? To their accusers, any veneration of a feminine divine principle outside the strict orthodoxy of the Church would be seen as devil worship. Their alleged secrecy and strange initiation rites could then be reinterpreted as rituals to safeguard this forbidden knowledge, a knowledge that challenged the very foundations of established power. Beyond the Grail, their rumored collection of relics was staggering. They were said to possess fragments of the true cross, the crown of thorns, and even the embalmed head of St. John the Baptist. While some of these items, like the crown of thorns, later appeared in the possession of King Louis IX of France, the ultimate fate of their most sacred artifacts remains a mystery. Did these objects sail with the fleet from La Rochelle, or were they hidden in the labyrinthine tunnels beneath their preceptories, waiting for a time when their true significance could be understood? The quest for the Grail is, at its heart, a search for a lost connection to the divine. The Templars, whether they physically possessed a cup or were the guardians of a spiritual truth, embody that eternal human yearning. Their entire history, from their humble beginnings to their tragic end, reads like a Grail romance, a story of a quest undertaken, a treasure found, and a secret lost to the world, leaving behind only a whisper of what might have been. The whispers of a lost treasure did not fade with the Templars, but simply found a new home. Centuries after their dissolution, a remote village in the French countryside would become the epicenter of a modern mystery that seems to echo the Order's deepest secrets. In the late 19th century, a penniless priest named Bérenger Saunière arrived at the dilapidated church in Rennes-le-Château. He was assigned to a poor parish, his future as bleak as the crumbling building he was meant to serve. Yet within a few short years, Saunière began spending money on an almost unimaginable scale. He embarked on a massive and eccentric renovation of the church, commissioning strange and unsettling statues. He built a lavish villa, a library tower, and a beautiful garden with a promenade offering stunning views, all funded by a source he never explained. The sheer volume of his spending was equivalent to millions in today's currency, a fortune that seemed to materialize from the mountain air itself. The source of his wealth became the central enigma. Local rumor held that during his church renovations, he discovered something hidden within a hollow Visigoth pillar supporting the altar. Some say it was a small tube containing rolled parchments. Others whispered of a chest of gold coins, or perhaps something even more valuable. These were not just any documents, according to the legend. They were coded manuscripts, genealogies that traced a secret bloodline all the way back to the Merovingian kings of France, and beyond that, to Jesus Christ himself. This was the ultimate forbidden knowledge, a truth that challenged the very core of Christian doctrine. If such a lineage existed, and if the Templars had been its guardians, then Saunière had stumbled upon their greatest secret. His subsequent actions only deepened the mystery. He became obsessed with the nearby mountain landscape, spending hours walking the hills and moving specific stones. He made mysterious trips to Paris, where he reportedly met with esoteric circles and had documents translated. The decorations he commissioned for his church are a bizarre puzzle. Above the entrance, he carved the Latin words "Terribilis isti locus est," meaning this place is terrible. Inside, a grotesque statue of a demon greets visitors, and a relief shows a priest teaching a young girl from a book, a scene many interpret as the passing of hidden knowledge. The entire project feels like a cryptic confession, a story told in stone and symbol for those with the eyes to see. Theorists quickly connected the dots back to the Templars. The region around Rennes-le-Château was once a stronghold of the Cathars, a Christian sect the Templars were accused of sympathizing with. It was also rumored to be a hiding place for Templar treasure after the arrests. Could Saunier's discovery have been a cache of Templar documents, the very proof of the bloodline they died to protect? His sudden wealth suggests he was paid for his silence by a powerful, hidden organization, a modern continuation of the secret society the Templars had founded. This group, some call it the Priory of Sion, was said to be the true guardian of the sacred bloodline, working in the shadows for centuries. The treasure of Rennes-le-Château, therefore, was never just gold. It was information, a secret so explosive that its discovery bought a priest's silence and fueled a legend that continues to captivate us. What other truths might still lie buried, not in desert sands, but in the forgotten archives and coded architecture of a world we thought we knew? Across the Atlantic, the legend of the hidden treasure found its most famous and frustrating physical form. On a small, wooded island off the coast of Nova Scotia, a story began in the 1790s that would consume lives and fortunes for generations. A young man named Daniel Maginnis discovered a peculiar circular depression in the ground, above which hung an old ship's tackle block from a large oak tree. It looked for all the world like a natural hoist, as if something massive had been lowered into the earth and then covered up. He and his friends began to dig, and what they found would become known as the Oak Island Money Pit. Just a few feet down, they hit a layer of flagstones not native to the island. 10 feet further, they uncovered a platform of solid oak logs, meticulously set into the walls of the shaft. At 20, 30, and 40 feet, they found identical platforms. It was clear this was no natural sinkhole, but a brilliantly engineered, deeply buried vault. The very design screamed of a secret that was meant to stay hidden. The project soon grew beyond the boys' capabilities, but they had ignited a treasure hunt that would never truly die. The mystery only deepened with each new excavation attempt. Professional digging crews in the early 1800s hit a layer of coconut fiber, a material not found anywhere near the cold Canadian coast, suggesting a tropical origin and a complex, layered filtration system to protect whatever lay below. Then, at a depth of around 90 feet, their auger, a tool used for sampling, brought up a tantalizing clue. It was a small piece of parchment, with the letters VI apparently written in ink. This was not just treasure, it was a document, something meant to be preserved and read. The most compelling and dangerous feature of the pit, however, was its booby trap. As early excavators tried to pump out water from the bottom of the shaft, they made a terrifying discovery. Every time they removed water, more seawater rushed in to replace it. Someone had engineered a series of intricate flood tunnels, connecting the base of the pit to the ocean. This was not a simple hole in the ground, it was a hydraulic lock, a sophisticated anti-theft device designed to drown anyone who came too close to the prize. This level of engineering points directly to a highly skilled and knowledgeable group, one with expertise in hydraulics, mining, and complex construction. For many, this description fits only one historical candidate, the Knights Templar. The theory suggests that the fleeing Templar fleet, loaded with their most sacred relics and archives, crossed the Atlantic and constructed this ultimate vault. The Ark of the Covenant, a relic of unimaginable power and significance, is often cited as the prize too dangerous to display and too valuable to lose. The pit's intricate, almost ritualistic construction, with its layers of oak and coconut fiber, mirrors the kind of sacred geometry and symbolic protection the Templars were rumored to employ. For more than 2 centuries, the quest has continued, a tragic and expensive saga of human obsession. 6 lives have been lost in the various flooding collapses. Millions of dollars have been poured into the island, with syndicates and corporations drilling, damming, and even using dynamite in an attempt to bypass the flood tunnels. In the 1960s, a television crew lowered a camera into a borehole and claimed to see chests, a severed hand, and even human remains in an underground chamber. More recent explorations have used sonar and core drilling, finding traces of silver, gold, and even more parchment deep within the bedrock. Yet the central chamber, if it exists, remains tantalizingly out of reach, its secrets guarded by an ingenious 500-year-old security system. The enduring enigma of Oak Island is a perfect echo of the Templar mystery itself. It is a story of brilliant minds, immense wealth, and a secret so profound that its guardians went to unbelievable lengths to hide it, not just from a king, but from the world itself. What final truth lies at the bottom of that flooded shaft, waiting for the water to finally be held at bay? Their symbols were a silent language, carved in stone and woven into the very fabric of their being. Beyond the famous Red Cross lay a deeper, more enigmatic iconography, a code of faith and perhaps hidden knowledge. Consider the double-headed eagle, a powerful emblem rarely used in medieval Europe. This creature, looking simultaneously to the east and the west, represents a duality of power, spiritual and temporal. It suggests a union of opposites, a bridge between the earthly realm and the divine, a concept that resonates deeply with esoteric traditions. For an order that operated in both the material world of finance and the spiritual world of faith, this symbol was a perfect representation of their unique identity. It hints at a grand, unifying vision that saw beyond the simple divisions of the age. Even more poignant was the Agnus Dei, the Lamb of God, often depicted holding the Templar banner. This was a profound statement of their core mission. They were the gentle lambs, the peaceful protectors of pilgrims, yet they were also the warriors carrying the banner of their faith into battle. This symbol reconciled the inherent contradiction of the warrior monk, framing their violence as a sacred duty under a divine banner. It was a public declaration of their piety, but like all their symbols, it may have held a private, layered meaning for the initiated. Their crosses, too, were far from uniform. While the simple Greek cross and the potent cross pate are most associated with them, variations like the crosslet, with its 4 smaller crosses, spoke to the spread of the gospel to the 4 corners of the earth. Each form was a deliberate choice, a piece of a visual theology stamped onto their seals, etched into their chapels and emblazoned on their tunics. To the outside world, these were marks of a Christian knight, but within the order they may have served as a complex system of identification and rank, a way for brothers to silently communicate their station and allegiance. This visual language found its ultimate expression in their use of cryptography. To protect the secrets of their vast financial network and the routes of their treasure convoys, they needed more than strong walls, they needed unbreakable codes. They developed sophisticated cipher systems, often based on the Templar cross itself. By placing the alphabet within the arms of a cross or a geometric grid, they could transform plain text into a seemingly random series of symbols. A document detailing the location of a hidden vault or the contents of a shipment could travel openly, appearing as nothing more than a pious doodle or an architectural sketch to any intercepting eye. Only a brother with the correct cipher key, perhaps a specific version of the cross or a memorized sequence, could unlock its true message. This mastery of secret communication extends the mystery of their lost treasures. The greatest hoard may not have been hidden in a physical pit, but encoded within the very art and architecture they left behind. The strange carvings in Rosslyn Chapel or the odd patterns in a rural French church might not be mere decoration, but a detailed map waiting centuries for someone to find the right key. Their entire legacy becomes a grand puzzle box, where the symbols are the locks and the codes are the missing keys. What final message did they leave for us, concealed in plain sight for 700 years? Of all the charges leveled against the Templars, the accusation of baphomet worship was the most shocking and bizarre. Their interrogators claimed the brothers denied Christ and instead bowed before a mysterious, bearded head, an idol that supposedly granted them wealth and power. This image of devil worship, carefully crafted by the French king, has haunted their story for centuries. But to understand Baphomet, we must first peel back the layers of fear and propaganda. The name itself is a clue. It does not appear in any orthodox religious text. Some scholars suggest it is a corruption of Mahomet, the medieval French term for the prophet Muhammad. This would have been a convenient way to paint the Templars as secret Muslims, the ultimate heresy for a crusading order. Others propose it comes from the Greek words for absorption of wisdom, a concept that hints at a deeper, more philosophical truth. The descriptions of the idol varied wildly, from a gilded human skull to a wooden head with two faces, or even a mummified relic. This inconsistency suggests the accusers were describing something they did not fully comprehend, or perhaps inventing a monster to fit their narrative. So what was the reality behind this dark legend? The most plausible explanation points not to devil worship, but to a profound form of Christian mysticism. Within their private ceremonies, the Templars may have venerated a reliquary containing the head of Saint John the Baptist, or perhaps the revered head of Saint Euphemia. For medieval knights, a saint's skull was not an object of terror, but a direct link to the divine, a source of spiritual power and intercession. Their alleged act of spitting on the cross, described in the Confessions, could have been a misunderstood reenactment of an initiation ritual designed to test a new brother's loyalty under extreme duress, a symbolic rejection of the physical world to embrace a higher, more abstract faith. The modern image of Baphomet, the goat-headed hermaphrodite we recognize today, is a much later invention. It was popularized in the 19th century by the French occultist Eliphas Lévy, who fused the Templar accusations with alchemical symbolism and pagan imagery to create a universal symbol of esoteric knowledge and the balance of opposites. This later interpretation, while historically separate from the Templars themselves, was absorbed back into their mythos, forever clouding the original truth. The real Baphomet was likely a composite phantom, a weaponized lie built from fragments of their genuine but secretive rituals. It was the perfect charge, blending enough half-truths with monstrous fabrications to destroy their sacred reputation. Their private devotion to a saintly relic was twisted into a public spectacle of satanic panic. This manipulation reveals the true darkness at the heart of their downfall, not in their rituals, but in the ruthless ambition of the king who sought to erase them. What other profound spiritual practices were lost when their order was shattered, their true beliefs buried beneath 700 years of slander and fear? Their alleged heresies may have been a mask for a far more dangerous pursuit, the preservation of forbidden wisdom. While stationed on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, the Templars had unparalleled access to a site considered holy by Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, a crossroads of ancient traditions. For 9 years they excavated beneath its ruins, an operation shrouded in secrecy. What if their most significant discovery was not a chest of gold, but a library of lost knowledge? Theories suggest they unearthed texts containing Gnostic Gospels, the complex mystical system of the Kabbalah, or even older Egyptian esoteric traditions. Gnosticism taught that salvation came not through blind faith, but through direct personal knowledge of the divine, a concept that directly challenged the medieval church's authority as the sole intermediary between humanity and God. Imagine the implications for a powerful order of monks who reported directly to the Pope. If they embraced this idea, their entire structure of obedience would be subverted from within. Their secret rites, described under torture, could be reinterpreted as Gnostic-inspired rituals aimed at achieving that direct spiritual enlightenment, a personal encounter with the divine light that made church sacraments seem secondary. This would explain the charge of denying Christ, not as a rejection of his teachings, but as a rejection of the Church's official, rigid interpretation of him. Similarly, their long exposure to Jewish scholars and mystics in the Holy Land could have introduced them to the Kabbalah. This is not simple mysticism, but a profound and complex system for understanding the hidden nature of God and the universe through sacred geometry, numerology, and the symbolic power of the Hebrew alphabet. The Templars' own sophisticated use of symbols and architecture, from their round churches to their cryptic seals, suddenly appears in a new light. Their buildings might not just be places of worship, but three-dimensional representations of Kabbalistic principles, maps of spiritual ascent encoded in stone. Their famed financial acumen, their ability to seemingly manifest wealth, could be seen through this lens not as magic, but as an applied understanding of universal laws of energy and exchange, principles explored in these ancient wisdom traditions. The most speculative theories connect them to even older Egyptian mysteries. Some researchers point to the Templar seal showing two knights on a single horse as a potential echo of the Egyptian god Horus, often depicted as a falcon, a creature of immense vision and power. Their veneration of a head, whether baphomet or a saintly relic, finds parallels in Egyptian cults that revered the heads of deities like Osiris as sources of oracular power. This accumulated knowledge, a synthesis of the world's great esoteric traditions, would have been the ultimate treasure and the ultimate liability. It represented a universal spirituality that transcended the dogmatic battles of the Crusades, a truth that rendered the very wars they fought as a tragic misunderstanding. For a king and a pope whose power depended on a monolithic, unquestionable faith, this was the true heresy, far more dangerous than any physical gold. Their treasure was not something that could be spent, but something that, if understood, could change everything. What other echoes of this lost wisdom are still hidden within the symbols they left behind, waiting to be decoded? Nestled in the Scottish countryside, Rosslyn Chapel stands as a stone book of secrets, its every surface carved with enigmas that whisper of a history far older than its 15th century construction. The sheer density of its sculpture is overwhelming, a chaotic symphony of biblical scenes, pagan green men, and geometric patterns that seems to defy any single interpretation. For those who believe the Templars found sanctuary in Scotland, this chapel is their ultimate coded message. Look closely at the apprentice pillar, a masterpiece of spiraling stone vines. Local legend claims its design was revealed to a humble apprentice in a dream while the master mason was away. Upon his return, the master, consumed by jealous rage, murdered the young man, forever sealing the pillar's unique beauty in tragedy. This story of hidden knowledge and violent retribution feels like an echo of a greater truth, a parable for the Templars themselves. The master craftsmen who were struck down for possessing a design the world was not ready to accept. But the true mysteries are carved in the stone foliage above. Among the perfectly recognizable oak leaves and ivy, there are clear depictions of plants that were utterly unknown in 15th century Scotland. Aloe vera and maize, species native to the Americas, are woven into the stone botany a full half-century before Columbus set sail. How could the chapel's builders have known of these plants? The implication is staggering, suggesting that someone, perhaps Templar navigators aboard the vanished fleet from La Rochelle, had already reached the New World and returned with not just knowledge, but samples. These carvings are not just decoration, they are a permanent record of a transatlantic voyage history has forgotten. The symbolism deepens with the carvings of the so-called Templar angels. Several figures appear to be descending, holding objects that have fueled centuries of speculation. One clutches what seems to be the Shroud of Turin, another a scroll, and most famously, a third holds a distinct cube-like object that some researchers passionately argue is a representation of the lost Ark of the Covenant. These angels are not merely celestial beings, they are guardians, depicted in the act of delivering or safeguarding the very relics the Templars were accused of seeking. Could Rosslyn Chapel be a reliquary in plain sight, not holding the physical objects, but declaring through stone that the order had found them and knew their significance? The chapel's layout itself adds another layer of mystery. Its east-west orientation and three-part design are said to mirror the layout of Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem, the very foundation of the Templar order. This architectural echo suggests the builders were not just constructing a chapel, but recreating a sacred blueprint, a permanent anchor for a spiritual tradition they refused to let die. Some even suggest the chapel was built over a network of subterranean vaults, and that the intricate carvings on the walls are not the true treasure, but a map leading to what lies hidden below the floor. Every symbol, from the maze to the ark, points to a legacy of exploration and guardianship. The chapel does not shout its secrets, it whispers them in the language of stone and leaf, waiting for us to learn how to listen. What final revelation is held in the silent, cold stone of this Scottish sanctuary? And what would it mean if these carvings are indeed the last testament of a hidden history? The silent stones of Rosslyn Chapel point toward another shadowy lineage, one that emerged from the ashes of the Templar dissolution. When the order was violently suppressed, its surviving members and their profound secrets did not simply vanish from the world. Many theorists believe they went underground, their esoteric knowledge and rituals carefully preserved within the emerging craft guilds of stonemasons. These operative masons, the actual builders of Europe's great cathedrals, already possessed their own secret signs, handshakes, and symbolic language to protect their trade secrets and denote their skill. It was into these fertile groups, some historians suggest, that the displaced Templar Knights infused their own spiritual beliefs and hidden history. Over centuries, these operative lodges gradually transformed into speculative Freemasonry, where the tools of the builder's craft became metaphors for the construction of one's own moral and spiritual character. The square and compasses were no longer just for measuring stone, but for squaring one's actions with virtue. The parallels are striking and deliberate. Freemasonry adopted a foundational legend involving the building of King Solomon's Temple, the very site that gave the Templars their name and their purported discovery. The Masonic story of Hiram Abiff, the master architect of the temple who was murdered for refusing to reveal its secret keys, resonates powerfully with the fate of Jacques de Molay, the last Templar Grand Master, who was burned at the stake for his silence. Both are stories of master craftsmen and guardians of secrets who chose death over betrayal. This was more than a coincidence, it was a symbolic retelling, a way to keep the memory and the martyrdom of the Templars alive in ritual form. The architectural symbolism is another profound link. Freemasonic lodges are often designed to represent Solomon's Temple, with their floor being a mosaic pavement of black and white squares, symbolizing the duality of good and evil, light and dark, a concept the Templars explored through symbols like their double-headed eagle. The checkered floor can be seen as a symbolic map of the path to enlightenment, a journey the initiated must walk, much like the Templars' own spiritual quest. Even the Masonic emphasis on the number 3, seen in the 3 degrees of entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason, finds echoes in the threefold vows of the Templar Knights and the triangular forms prevalent in their architecture. The most compelling speculative link concerns the guardianship of the Templar treasure. If the Order's true wealth was not mere gold, but a body of forbidden knowledge about ancient wisdom, sacred geometry, and perhaps a bloodline, then the Freemasons became its logical inheritors. Their rituals are steeped in the language of lost knowledge being recovered, of secrets that can only be communicated to the worthy. The Masonic obsession with the all-seeing eye, a symbol of divine providence and omniscience, could be interpreted as a continuation of the Templars' quest for direct gnosis, or knowledge of God. This theory proposes that the Freemasons were not just a social or philosophical club, but the direct custodians of the Templars' greatest secret, a truth so powerful it had to be encoded in allegory and ritual to survive centuries of persecution. The historical transmission is murky, with gaps that fuel both academic debate and endless speculation. There is no single document that proves a direct handover, Yet the symbolic and philosophical threads weave a tapestry too coherent to dismiss entirely. From the ashes of the Templar pyres, a new vessel for their ancient secrets was forged in the lodges of the Freemasons, carrying a hidden history forward into the modern world, waiting for the day its true meaning could be fully understood. Behind the grand accusations of heresy lay a far more sinister reality, the extraction of truth not through evidence, but through agony. The trial transcripts from 1307 onward reveal a systematic campaign of torture designed to break the spirit of the knights and manufacture the proof the king needed. Templars of all ranks were subjected to the rack, their limbs stretched until joints dislocated. Others endured the horrors of the strappado, hoisted into the air by their wrists, which were tied behind their backs and then dropped suddenly, a brutality that often tore their shoulders from their sockets. The goal was not to discover what they had done, but to force them to confirm a story that had already been written. Under this unbearable pain, many confessed to the outlandish charges. They admitted to spitting on the cross, to denying Christ, to engaging in obscene kisses during their initiation. Yet these confessions are riddled with inconsistencies that betray their falsity. One knight would describe Baphomet as a gilded cat, while another swore it was a painted human head. The details never matched because the idol was a fiction, a monster assembled from the fears of their torturers. The most damning evidence of this charade emerged when the torture stopped. Once removed from the dungeons and allowed to speak before papal commissions, dozens of knights, including high-ranking officials, courageously recanted their confessions. They stood before their accusers, their bodies still bearing the marks of their ordeal, and declared that they had only spoken to end the torment, that their faith in Christ and their loyalty to the order had never wavered. This was an act of incredible bravery, knowing it could send them back to the rack or directly to the stake. Their collective recantation points to a single, undeniable truth: the entire prosecution was a carefully orchestrated smear campaign. The king and his inquisitors were not rooting out heresy. They were using its language as a weapon to dismantle a rival power structure, to seize its wealth, and to permanently erase its legacy from public memory. The real crime of the Templars was not heresy, but independence, and for that, their very history had to be rewritten in their own blood and forced lies. If their confessions were false, then what other truths did they carry to their graves? Truths they refused to surrender even under the most excruciating pain. At the heart of this storm of betrayal stood one man, Jacques de Molay. He became the 23rd Grand Master of the Knights Templar in 1292, assuming leadership of an empire that was already under immense pressure. The Crusader states in the Holy Land had fallen, and the order's military purpose was fading, yet its financial power and political independence remained a source of envy and suspicion. De Molay was a seasoned knight, a man who had spent decades in the East, but he was now thrust into the complex political arena of Europe, a world of thrones and conspiracies for which his martial background had poorly prepared him. For years, he navigated the treacherous currents, even discussing a new crusade with Pope Clement V. He was a reformer, trying to steer his vast and wealthy order toward a renewed spiritual purpose, unaware that its very existence was already forfeit in the mind of a desperate king. When the arrests came on that fateful Friday the 13th, de Molay was captured in Paris. For 7 long years, he endured imprisonment and the constant threat of torture. Initially, he confessed to some of the charges, likely a strategic move made under duress to protect his brothers or to buy time. But when he was finally brought before a public tribunal to confirm his guilt, something remarkable happened. Surrounded by his accusers and with the stakes at their highest, Jacques de Molay found his courage. He publicly recanted his confession, declaring himself and his order innocent of all heresy. He stated that the Knights Templar were faithful Catholics and that the charges against them were lies. This act of defiance, knowing it would mean certain death, transformed him from a prisoner into a martyr. The king's carefully staged show trial was unraveling, and he could not allow it. Philip IV immediately ordered de Molay and another high-ranking Templar, Geoffroy de Charny, to be burned at the stake as relapsed heretics. That very day, on a small island in the river Seine, the pyres were built. As the flames climbed, the last Grand Master did not cry out in pain or fear. Instead, according to multiple chroniclers of the time, he issued a powerful curse. He summoned Pope Clement V and King Philip IV to meet him before God's tribunal within the year. He proclaimed their lineages would be cursed and that they would face divine judgment for their treachery. Then, it is said, he called out to his tormentors that the Templars would have their vengeance, a secret that would echo through the ages. The curse of Jacques de Molay was not an empty threat. Pope Clement V died only 1 month later, on April 20th, 1314, of a sudden and debilitating illness that was widely rumored to be dysentery. King Philip IV, only 46 years old and in good health, died in a hunting accident before the year was out, on November 29th. His direct male line died with him, a succession of 3 sons who each briefly took the throne but produced no heirs, exactly as the curse had foretold. The House of Capet, a dynasty that had ruled France for over 3 centuries, was extinguished. To the medieval mind, this was not coincidence, it was the hand of God. The dramatic fulfillment of de Molay's dying prophecy sealed his legend and the mystery of the Templars forever. It was the final, fiery act of defiance from a man who could not save his order, but whose last words would haunt the thrones that had destroyed it. What secret knowledge did he possess that gave him such conviction in his final moments, and what form did he believe that vengeance would ultimately take? The dying curse of Jacques de Molay did not signal the end of his brotherhood, only its transformation. While the official order was dissolved, its heart continued to beat in the remote highlands of Scotland and the coastal strongholds of Portugal. In Scotland, King Robert the Bruce was himself excommunicated, locked in a fierce struggle for independence against an England loyal to the Pope. He had no reason to honor the papal decree suppressing the Templars and every reason to welcome the most disciplined fighting force in the world. Legends insist that a contingent of Templar knights, their white mantles traded for unmarked armor, fought valiantly at the pivotal Battle of Bannockburn in 1314. It is said their tactical expertise broke the English schiltrons, turning the tide in a battle that secured Scottish sovereignty. The presence of Templar symbolism carved into Rosslyn Chapel, built just a century later, stands as a silent, stony witness to their enduring legacy in that land. Across the sea, the story was one of rebirth, not refuge. King Denis of Portugal recognized the immense value of the Templars, their naval knowledge, and their administrative skill. Instead of destroying them, he negotiated a brilliant compromise with the papacy. In 1319, the Knights Templar in Portugal were formally reconstituted as the Order of Christ. They kept their property, their ships, and their membership, simply adopting a new name and a modified cross. This newly christened order became the very engine of Portugal's age of discovery. Prince Henry the Navigator, a Grand Master of the Order of Christ, poured their vast resources and accumulated maritime knowledge into his navigation school at Sagres. The caravels that sailed around the Cape of Good Hope and opened the sea route to India did not fly random flags. Their sails were emblazoned with the distinctive cross of the order, a symbol that was a direct descendant of the Templar cross pate. These explorers were, in a very real sense, the spiritual and literal heirs of the warrior monks, their quest for new worlds echoing the Templars' own search for sacred knowledge. The treasure they sought was no longer hidden in a vault, but charted on a map, a testament to a legacy that refused to die. That mysterious bearded head the Templars were accused of worshipping may not have been a demonic idol at all, but a sacred cloth bearing the faint, haunting image of a man. The Shroud of Turin, one of the world's most debated relics, is a 14-foot length of linen that seems to show the front and back impressions of a crucified man, complete with wounds matching the biblical accounts of Jesus Christ. The historical trail of this enigmatic object has a profound and unexplained gap, a period of several centuries where it simply vanishes from the record. This gap coincides perfectly with the Templars' rise and fall. Could the shroud have been the real Baphomet, the source of their alleged heresy? The theory suggests that the Templars discovered the shroud in Constantinople after the Fourth Crusade's infamous sack of the city in 1204. This was not a simple piece of cloth to them, but a direct, tangible connection to the Passion of Christ, an image not made by human hands. Its very existence presented a theological challenge of immense proportions. If this was the true burial cloth of Jesus, it provided physical, forensic evidence of the crucifixion, something that bypassed the need for church interpretation and offered a direct, almost scientific, link to the divine. Their veneration of such an object in secret ceremonies would have been seen by the Church as a dangerous act of independence. Why would they hide it? Because the image on the shroud tells a story that contradicted centuries of established art and doctrine. Traditional paintings showed a serene, clean-shaven Christ, distant and divine. The man on the shroud, however, is brutally human. His face is swollen from beatings, his body bears the clear marks of a Roman flagrum, and the blood flows from his wounds with shocking realism. This was not the sanitized symbol the Church presented to the masses. It was a visceral, painful record of suffering. For a king looking to destroy the order, this secret devotion could be easily twisted. The act of unrolling and venerating a cloth with a human face could be described to inquisitors as the worship of a mysterious bearded head. The secret rites, meant to honor this most sacred of relics, could be portrayed as obscene and satanic gatherings. The shroud was not an idol of evil, but a truth so powerful and direct that it threatened the entire ecclesiastical structure built upon faith alone. Its discovery by the Templars would have been the ultimate spiritual treasure, a relic that confirmed their deepest beliefs while simultaneously making them heretics in the eyes of the institution they served. When their order was shattered, the shroud had to be protected, spirited away with their fleet to ensure its survival. It would not resurface for another century, in the hands of a French knight who claimed to have fought in the Crusades, its origins forever shrouded in the same mystery that defined the knights who may have guarded it for generations. This bloodline theory finds its most famous expression in a book that ignited a modern firestorm. In 1982, 3 researchers published Holy Blood, Holy Grail, a work that wove together the mystery of Rennes-le-Château with a staggering new claim. They argued that the Priory of Sion, a supposed secret society, was the true guardian of a secret so explosive it had to be protected for 2,000 years. This was not a treasure of gold, but a living lineage, a sacred bloodline descended directly from Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. According to this narrative, Jesus survived the crucifixion, married Mary Magdalene, and fled to the south of France, where their descendants intermarried with Frankish royalty to found the Merovingian dynasty. The Holy Grail, or Sang Greal, was redefined not as a cup, but as Sang Real, or royal blood. The Grail quest was therefore a symbolic search for this lost lineage, the sacred blood of kings flowing through history. This was the ultimate forbidden knowledge, a truth that, if proven, would dismantle the very foundation of Christian orthodoxy. It challenged the divinity of Christ, the authority of the Church, and the nature of salvation itself. Where do the Knights Templar fit into this radical revision of history? The book proposes they were the military arm of this grand conspiracy, the sworn protectors of the bloodline. Founded exactly where they were, on the Temple Mount, not by chance, but to excavate and secure the physical proof of this lineage, perhaps hidden documents or genealogies from the ruins of Solomon's temple. Their immense wealth and power were not the goal, but the means to an end, providing the resources and independence needed to shield the descendants of this holy family across Europe. Their secret rites and mysterious symbols were not heresy, but a coded language to communicate with fellow initiates and to honor this hidden truth. Their sudden destruction, then, was not about King Philip's debt, but about his discovery of the secret. By eliminating the Templars, he was attempting to erase the Guardians, and with them, the evidence of a truth that could invalidate his own divinely sanctioned right to rule. The public charges of heresy were a smokescreen for a private war against a genealogy that threatened every throne in Europe. The theory, while captivating, rests on a foundation that has been widely disputed. The central piece of evidence, the secret dossiers discovered by the priest Berenger Saunier, have never been independently verified and are considered by most historians to be an elaborate hoax. The Priory of Sion itself was later revealed to be a 20th century creation, an elaborate puzzle constructed by a man named Pierre Plantard, yet the power of the story is undeniable. It provides a compelling, unified field theory for Western esotericism, connecting the Templars, the Cathars, Rennes-le-Chateau, and even the Freemasons into a single, grand narrative of a persecuted truth. It reframes the entire Templar saga, transforming their tragedy from a simple tale of greed and betrayal into an epic, centuries-long guardianship of the world's most dangerous secret. Whether fact or magnificent fiction, the Arcadian bloodline theory forces us to ask a profound question: what could possibly be valuable enough to justify the creation of the most powerful military order of the Middle Ages, and terrifying enough to warrant its utter annihilation? Perhaps the answer was never a what, but a who. The quest for their lost fortune has not faded with the centuries, it has simply upgraded its tools. Across the fields of France and the coastlines of Portugal, modern hunters armed with ground-penetrating radar and magnetometers now search for the echoes of Templar wealth. These devices send pulses deep into the earth, mapping anomalies and hidden voids that could be sealed chambers or forgotten tunnels. At the ancient preceptory of Paines, the birthplace of the Order's founder, such scans have revealed intriguing subterranean structures that do not match any known floor plans. Are these the remnants of a treasury or simply old cellars? The technology can show the shape of a mystery, but it cannot reveal its contents. Every shadow on the screen requires the slow, careful work of excavation, a process often hindered by historical preservation laws and the sheer depth of time. The real treasure may lie not in finding a chest of gold, but in finally understanding the architectural genius of the Order, their secret methods of concealment encoded in the very ground they walked. How many of these silent underground rooms still hold their secrets, waiting for a chance discovery? Private investigations continue with a fervor that mirrors the old quests, funded by wealthy enthusiasts and secretive consortiums. In recent years, a team in northern Italy claimed to have decoded a cipher pointing to a hidden vault beneath a small, forgotten chapel. Their investigation, conducted with thermal cameras and endoscopes, allegedly detected a large metallic object behind a stone wall. The news sparked a media frenzy, but the local diocese halted further exploration, leaving the claim forever unverified. This is the recurring pattern of the modern hunt. A tantalizing clue emerges, technology offers a glimpse of possibility, but definitive proof remains just out of reach, obscured by bureaucracy, ownership disputes, or the fragile nature of the sites themselves. The validity of these discoveries is always debated. Are these teams uncovering history, or are they seeing what they desperately want to see in the data? A void could be a natural fissure, a metallic reading could be an old water pipe. The legend of the Templars is so powerful that it can bend perception, turning every anomaly into a potential trove. Yet the enduring global interest, the millions spent on these high-tech searches, speaks to a profound human need to solve the puzzle. We are drawn not just to the promise of gold, but to the possibility of closure, to finally answering the question that has haunted us for 700 years. What will it take to separate romantic speculation from historical truth? And what will we truly find if one of these modern quests finally succeeds? The silent guardians of a forgotten truth have become the stars of a modern myth-making machine. From the dusty pages of history, The Knights Templar have been resurrected in blockbuster novels, gripping video games, and major motion pictures, their story retold for a new age. Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code did not just popularize the Templar mystery, it fundamentally reshaped it for millions of readers and viewers. The book wove together the Rennes-le-Château enigma, the Priory of Sion, and the Templars into a single, breathless conspiracy thriller. In this narrative, the Order were the perpetual protectors of the Holy Grail, redefined as the sacred bloodline of Christ. While the specific historical claims have been widely debunked, the novel's power lies in its emotional resonance. It presented the Templars not as austere monks or greedy bankers, but as romantic guardians of the ultimate secret, a truth so profound it could topple the Church. This portrayal cemented in the public mind the idea of the Templars as the keepers of a living, dangerous tradition, forever hunted for what they knew. The line between documented history and compelling fiction became irrevocably blurred, making the Templar legend more accessible and more tantalizing than any academic text ever could. Video games have taken this mythic potential and turned it into an interactive experience. In franchises like the Assassin's Creed series, players don't just learn about the Templars, they step into their world. The games present a grand, millennia-long shadow war between the Templars and the Assassins, a conflict over free will versus control. Here, the Templar treasure is often a piece of Eden, a powerful ancient artifact left by a precursor civilization. This science fiction twist reframes their quest, suggesting their real goal was not spiritual salvation, but the acquisition of preternatural technology to shape human destiny. The historical Templar obsession with relics and knowledge is reimagined as a hunt for literal tools of power. By making the player an active participant in this secret history, games create a deep, personal connection to the legend, reinforcing the idea of the Templars as a pervasive, almost omnipotent force working behind the curtains of every major historical event. Films and television have further amplified this iconic status. From the grim medieval epic Kingdom of Heaven to the adventurous national treasure, Templars are consistently portrayed as a formidable and enigmatic presence. They are the ultimate secret society, their symbols hidden in plain sight on the $1 bill, their influence stretching into the modern corridors of power. These portrayals rarely focus on the mundane realities of medieval banking or land management. Instead, they emphasize the spectacle, the hidden codes, the lost treasures, and the dramatic executions. The complex, nuanced truth of the Order is sanded down into a sleek, marketable archetype, the mysterious knight with a secret. This constant cultural recycling has a profound effect. For many people, the fictional Templars have largely supplanted the historical ones. The real Jacques de Molay, a flawed administrator trying to save his order, is overshadowed by the image of a defiant sorcerer king uttering curses. The Order's genuine financial innovation is less exciting than a plot about a map on the back of the Declaration of Independence. Yet, this blending of fact and fiction is not necessarily a loss. It demonstrates an enduring human hunger for the very themes the Templars represent: the conflict between faith and knowledge, the tension between institutional power and personal revelation, and the eternal allure of a lost golden age whose secrets are just waiting to be found. The treasure, it seems, is not just in the finding, but in the endless, captivating search itself. The kings who dismantled the Templar Order expected a windfall to solve their debts, yet the actual plunder was curiously incomplete. While King Philip IV seized the Templar properties and liquid assets within his reach, the legendary core of their treasury, the central reserve that powered their international system, was never found. The detailed financial ledgers, the meticulous records of every loan, deposit, and transaction across Europe, also vanished. These were not just account books, they were the beating heart of their financial empire, a complete map of medieval power and its debts. Their disappearance was a black hole at the center of the supposed victory, leaving the crowns richer in land, but poorer in the actual liquid capital they desperately needed. Imagine a modern central bank where all the computers and hard drives are wiped clean just before a takeover. The buildings remain, but the true power, the data, is gone. This is the void the kings faced. The missing records were perhaps more valuable than the gold itself, for they contained the proof of royal obligations, the secrets of state finance, and the routes of hidden treasure convoys. Their absence fueled the immediate and persistent belief that the Templars had executed a perfect financial disappearing act. They had not just hidden a chest of coins, they had concealed the very mechanism of their wealth, moving the central reserve to a place beyond the reach of any king. This was not a panicked flight, but a calculated, orderly withdrawal of capital from a system under attack. The real treasure was not just what was lost, but the knowledge of how to move it, a final masterstroke of financial genius from an order that invented modern finance, leaving behind a mystery not of gold, but of emptiness. 700 years later, the silence of their vaults is deafening. We are left not with answers, but with a constellation of profound and haunting questions that refuse to fade. The first and perhaps most personal mystery surrounds their secret initiation rites. The trial confessions, extracted under torture, describe bizarre acts of denying the cross and exchanging obscene kisses. But what was the true purpose of these ceremonies? Were they merely brutal tests of loyalty, or did they serve a deeper, esoteric function? Could they have been designed to strip a new brother of his old identity, to break down his ego so he could be reborn into a higher state of spiritual awareness, a direct encounter with the divine that bypassed the church? The historical record offers only the twisted version told by their torturers, leaving the genuine ritual, the actual words spoken in those dimly lit chambers, lost to us forever. Then there is the enduring question of their relics. Did they physically possess the Ark of the Covenant, a chest of unimaginable power said to contain the very stone tablets of God's law? The rumored design of their vaults and their possible connection to Rosslyn Chapel's carvings keep this possibility alive. Was the Holy Grail in their care, not as a simple chalice, but as the sacred bloodline of Christ himself, a living secret they died to protect? The chinon parchment proves they were not heretics, so what was the core spiritual truth they guarded so fiercely that it justified their destruction? The artifacts they may have held were not just objects, but keys to a different understanding of faith, history, and human potential. This leads to the most tangible enigma of all, the location of their primary treasure. The vanished fleet from La Rochelle suggests a deliberate, orchestrated exodus. Did that treasure sail to Scotland to fund a king's war, to Portugal to finance an age of discovery, or across the Atlantic to be sealed within a booby-trapped pit on Oak Island? Or is the greater part of it still hidden in plain sight, concealed in a network of subterranean tunnels beneath a French village or an English countryside preceptory, its entrance forgotten or waiting for the right geomagnetic scan to reveal its hollow echo? The sheer scale of their financial operations means the king's seizure was likely just a fraction of their total wealth. The bulk of it, along with the archives that held the secrets of kings and popes, simply disappeared. These are not just historical curiosities. They are gaps in the story of power itself. The silence of the Templars is a void that we continually try to fill, because the answers would rewrite our understanding of the medieval world. What final truth died with Jacques de Molay in the smoke and the flames, and why does its echo feel so close, even after all this time? Their story is a tapestry woven with threads of gold, faith, and fire. We have followed their path from humble protectors to the master financiers of a continent, from pious warriors to accused heretics burned at the stake. We have traced the whispers of their hidden fortune, from the silent vaults beneath Paris to the flooded shaft on Oak Island, and from the coded stones of Rosslyn Chapel to the sudden wealth of a French priest. The true treasure of the Knights Templar may never be a single chest of gold or jewels. It is a more complex and enduring legacy, a fusion of revolutionary banking, architectural genius, and a spiritual quest for knowledge that challenged the world they lived in. Their downfall was not a simple act of greed, but a calculated political assassination designed to erase a rival power and its dangerous secrets. Whether those secrets were the bloodline of a messiah, the shroud of a crucified man, or simply the profound truth of their own innocence, they took the heart of the mystery with them. The empty vaults and the vanished fleet are not evidence of failure, but of a plan executed at the final hour. These legends persist because they speak to something deep within us, a yearning for lost wisdom and a belief that history has hidden chapters waiting to be read. The quest continues not just with shovels and radar, but in our collective imagination. What do you believe was their greatest secret? Was it a physical relic of immense power, a forbidden gospel, or the guardianship of a lineage that would change everything? Share your own theory in the comments below. The search for their forbidden truths is far from over, and every new perspective adds another piece to this ancient puzzle. If you are drawn to these mysteries of esoteric history, be sure to subscribe for our next exploration into the world's greatest enigmas.